With this overview of the structure and storyline, you may be able to understand and appreciate one more thing that I like about the idealism approach to interpreting Revelation is that this gives us a schematic framework for understanding what God's plan is through the interadvental age, how Christ, as the great high priest, whoever lives to intercede and mediate for his church, and the groom anxiously awaiting his wedding day with his bride, how he is continually alive and continues to actively pursue and bring forth what is necessary to bring to consummation that day of eternal marital bliss. So we have a schematic and a framework, and apocalyptic literature, according to Don Carson, what it's good at is schematizing history. It gives a framework, a schematic through which to view history, but not a point-by-point chronological history book of details. And that's important in this case because, again, the church is spread out over all the earth. We don't have one central hub in Jerusalem or Rome or New Rome. The lampstands are spread out over all of the earth. And so we have this schematic framework for what Christ is doing to ensure that his bride is ready for that wedding feast. But different regions, different individuals, different nations and areas where the church is manifest are going to be in different stages of this at different times. So you can find points in church history that are explained by this schematic, but there may be another thing happening in another part of the world at the same time in history that corresponds to a different point in the schematic, and one region may be in a different place than the other, and different things are happening. And it's the same thing like with individuals, as I said, with the Jesus's parables. The parable of the four soils gives us some schematic for interpreting, understanding how different people individually respond to the gospel. And there's going to be different responses from different people at different times. Likewise, Revelation gives us a schematic framework for understanding, for looking at events in church history and understanding the flow of what God has planned and what he's doing and where it's ultimately leading. But that's through a vast myriad of omniscient God working through the church in different stages of developments and ebbs and flows at different times and different places throughout history. So the idealism framework, where the allegory is intact, the story, the book as a whole tells a cohesive story, is great from a literary standpoint, and we can understand what the story is saying, and then we can take those principles and go out and case by case use that lens, because again, apocalyptic literature is also useful for giving heaven's eyes views on earth. So it's a lens that we can put on our eyeballs and look at different things that are happening in the world and in the church age, and understand them from the heaven's eye view.